So PGF2 alpha based breeding program. This is a one-shot injection of the PGF2 alpha for the synchronization of the estrus. The PGF2 alpha, a mature seer, is a must for the using PGF2 alpha, which would be usually missing in pre-pubertal heifer, a cyclic cow, buffalo, or a cyclic female passing through the initial 5 to 6 day of the cycle. This small picture showing the period response when we are giving the PGF2 alpha. So this is a period of estrus, this is a pro-estrus period, and this is a mat-estrus period. So both the before the 4 to 5 day, after the 4 to 5 day, there is a no response of the PGF2 alpha when we are giving the to the animal. So the PGF2 alpha is not effective in estrus again developing and the regressing CL. So ideal time for the giving the PGF2 alpha injection is 5 days after the estrus. And one thing is that PGF2 alpha do not affect the folliculogenesis. PGF2 alpha do not affect the folliculogenesis. The folliculogenesis is as such. The variation in the size of the dominant follicle of follicular wave at the time of PGF2 alpha injection cause variation in the interval to estrus following the PGF2 alpha injection. Suppose we are giving the PGF2 alpha on today, and at that time the animal ovary having a dominant follicle. So dominant follicle is there. So after 36 to 48 hours of the injection, animal will come in estrus. But when the small follicle is there, means wave is continuous on the ovary, so it requires 4 to 5 days for the response of the PGF2 alpha. So when we are giving the PGF2 alpha, we all know that it becomes lysis of the CL and start the estrus estrus exhibited after the 3 to 4 days of the PGF2 alpha injection and breed the animal. This is a preparation of the PGF2 alpha, natural and synthetic, and these are the dose rate. We all know that. So when that is what happened. Only about 75% of the cows cycling in a herd can be synchronized with one injection only. If all cycling female are to be synchronized, the 2 injections are needed. It is known as 2 shot of PGF2 alpha, which are 11 days apart. So what will happen in this case? On 0 day, we are giving the PGF2 alpha. Again, I would like to tell you, when we are using PGF2 alpha, the CL is necessary. Animal must be cyclic. On day 0 PGF2 alpha, those animals they are come in estrus, go for the artificial insemination. And those animals they are not come in estrus, again give the PGF2 alpha after the 11 days of the first PGF2 alpha. And the animal come in estrus and go for the artificial insemination. It is known as a 2 shot of PGF2 alpha injection. Now the GnRH in PGF2 alpha based breeding program. So first one is the OOC protocol. This is a best protocol for the feed condition and also giving a good result as compared to the other protocol. So here the administration of GnRH causes an LH surge, and that ovulate or luteinize the largest follicle present on the ovary. And all the cattle that start a new follicular wave on 1 to 2 days later. When GnRH is followed by a PGF2 alpha, 7 days later, most animal will possess a mature CL, and this CL lies by the PGF2 alpha. This second injection of GnRH will be given 36 to 48 hours after the PGF2 alpha injection, will induce the ovulation of the dominant follicle recruited after the first GnRH injection, and the animal come in estrus and EI perform after the 8 to 18 hours after this second GnRH injection. It is known as OOC protocol. It is very much useful in a field and also give a good result. The approximate result according to various researcher is after the treatment is a 40% of the fixed first time artificial insemination, first time insemination rate. But when we are waiting and considering the subsequent 2 estrus cycle, the conception rate will be higher, that is 50 to 60% according to the various research article. This is a co-sync protocol. This is the same as the OOC protocol, but difference is that in co-sync protocol, we are waiting up to 8 to 18 hours after second injection of the GnRH for the artificial insemination. But in case of co-sync protocol, when we are giving the GnRH, directly go for the artificial insemination without waiting. It is known as fixed type artificial insemination. This is the co-sync protocol. Now the select sync protocol. Select sync protocol have two options. There is a option 1 and option 2. Option 1 is also known as a heat sync protocol. So what happen in heat sync or select sync protocol? On day 0, give the GnRH. After the 7th day of the GnRH, give PGF2 alpha, and those animals they are come in estrus, go for the artificial insemination. And those they are not come in artificial estrus or are not responder the PGF2 alpha, give the GnRH injection on day 10th of the program or a 72 hour after the PGF2 alpha injection and go for the artificial insemination. That's why this is a two option for the select sync protocol. See, this is a pre-sync protocol. This is the various program. This is followed by the various researcher of the pre-sync protocol. So what do you mean by pre-sync? The pre-sync, as the name implies, is a protocol that pre-synchronize animals to the early stage of the estrus cycle for optimum response to initial GnRH injection. So in this pre-sync protocol, there is a 2 injection of PGF2 alpha 14 days apart will be given on day 0, give PGF2 alpha. After 14th day of first PGF2 alpha, give second PGF2 alpha, and after 14th day of second PGF2 alpha, start the JPG protocol, that is GnRH, PGF2 alpha, GnRH, and time insemination will be done on 16th day after the second GnRH PGF2 alpha. This is a various research protocol. This slide showing the double sync protocol. Means there is a double O sync protocol. Two time O sync is performed on the animal to synchronize. So on day 0, GnRH, after the 7th day of GnRH, give PGF2 alpha. After 3 day of PGF2 alpha, give GnRH. This is a O sync protocol. And again give the 7-day rest and again start a JPG protocol, then a GnRH, PGF2 alpha, and GnRH. And after 60 hours of the fourth GnRH, then go for the artificial insemination. It is known as double sync protocol. So the next method for the synchronization of the estrus is the extending of the luteal phase. And for this, the progesterone is required. And there is a various device used to extend the luteal phase, which are incorporated with the progesterone, like intravaginal sperm, CEDAR, TRIOB, BREED, and subcutaneous ear implant. So what are the advantages of using progesterone? There is no need to identify the CL on the ovary where we are go for the progesterone. All the animal can be administered at the same time and can be given at any time of the cycle. And here, if the animal is not cyclic, they bring the animal into the estrus. This is very important when we are doing the progesterone. See, this is a progesterone releasing intravaginal device. This one is a CEDAR, control internal drug releasing device. This is a TRIOB, and this one is a Cristar ear implant, which having a norgestomate. Let's see one by one. This is a progesterone releasing intravaginal device. So first of all, I just told the mechanism of how the progesterone is perform their action when we are inserting in the vagina. So the progesterone from the device, CEDAR, TRIOB, or PREED, anyone, insert is absorbed through the vaginal mucosa, and resulting in plasma progesterone level of sufficient magnitude to suppress the release of LH and FSH from the hypothalamus for the duration of the recommended treatment period, that is 7 to 9 days or 10 days or whatsoever. This negative feedback effect on the pituitary prevent estrogen, prevent estrus and the ovulation. And following the device removal, the progesterone level suddenly decrease rapidly and allow LH pulse frequency and to increase the resulting in estrus and ovulation of the emerging dominant follicle. So this is the common mechanism for all the progesterone releasing device. So this one is a PREED. It is a stainless steel flat coil coated with an inert silicone rubber, incorporated 1.55 gram of the progesterone, lapse in situ up to 7 to 9 days. And the latest protocol is prostaglandin can be given 1 day before or the 1 day on the day of the withdrawal, and estrus occur 2 to 3 days after the withdrawal. And fixed time artificial insemination and also occur can be given on 48 and 72 hours or only at 56 hours after the removal of the breed. Now, the CDAR, the control internal drug releasing device, it contains 1.9 gram of progesterone. The same way, insert in vagina, lapse in situ for 7 to 9 days. Give the PGF2 alpha 1 day before or on the day of withdrawal, and fixed time EI at 48 and 72 or after removal of CDAR is recommended. So this is a protocol for the CDAR. When we are inserting CDAR at time of the 0 and up to the 7th day, when we are removing the CDAR, give the PGF2 alpha. What PGF2 alpha calls? It's called the lysis of the functional CL and return the estrus and remove the CDAR. After the removal of the CDAR, animal will become in estrus within the 5 days and go for the artificial insemination. This is the various protocol incorporated with the CDAR. There is a select sync, give GnRH on 0 day, put CDAR in intravaginal, and on the 7th day at the time of removal of CDAR, give PGF2 alpha, detect the estrus and go for the artificial insemination. This is again select sync plus CDAR plus time artificial insemination, means give the difference is that give the GnRH and go for the artificial insemination on day 10th of the program. This GnRH assures the ovulation. PG 6 day CDAR and PG 6 day CDAR plus time artificial insemination is also there. There is a lots of protocol on this, but I am just incorporated. Those are useful in field condition. This is again fixed time AI, 7-day co-sync plus CDAR and 5-day co-sync plus CDAR. So how we are preparing the device to insert into the vagina. So this is a CDAR and this is a wing of the device, and on this wing there is a coating of the progesterone there. So carefully handling of this device. So it means that you must be wear a gloves and beware of your eyes when we are dealing with this device. This is the method how to insert into the applicator. This one is a applicator. Insert the device in the applicator, and this is a blue nylon thread. Before the inserting the CDAR or TRIO-B or a PREED, it should be clean and disinfected using the spirit or betadine, and then apply a lubricant on the front half of applicator and follow hygienic precaution while inserting in the vagina, because it's created when we are not following the hygienic precaution, create a infection. When insert the device, ensure that the nylon tail, this is a nylon tail, is curved downward, and clip it such that only 2 to 3 inch protrude from the vulva, because they prevent when their point is upward, it create an infection in vagina and also chances to remove by the other animal. And at the time of the removal, gently pull out the nylon thread until it is removed. Now talk about the Norgestomate. It is a Synchromed B ear implant. It is a small hydrogen polymer implant impregnated with 6 mg of Norgestomate. Is inserted subcutaneously on the back of the ear, pinna of the ear. At the time of insertion, 5 mg estradiol valproate and 3 mg of Norgestomate are injected intramuscularly. The implant is removed after the 9th day, and the cow come in heat within 24 to 36 hours and go for the EI at 48 to 54 hours. So this is a Synchromed B. How we are implant. First one is the clipping the hair and cleaning the side. Means back side of the ear. This is the pinna of the ear. This is its applicator. By the applicator, put the device subcut in ear pinna, and when we are removing, just make a small incision with the blade and push back the device from the ear subcutaneous side and remove it. So the next one is ultrasonography. The clinical application of ultrasonography in reproduction, we all know that USG is a well-known fact in today in institute as well as the field condition. So USG is used for the determination of seasonal status of the ovary, as well as a single and double ovulatory follicle on the ovary, follicular genesis when we are recording the follicular genesis, time for the ovulation, monitoring the corpus luteum, estimating the stage of the estrous cycle, and differentiating luteal persistence from an ovulatory condition. There is a lots of indication for the USG. Collecting follicular oocyte by intravaginal aspiration, diagnosing twin during the later fetal stage, assessing fetal viability, postpartum involution of the uterus, as well as the various pathological condition of the uterus, ovary, etc. So the diagnostic ultrasound use the frequency is 1 to 10 megahertz. We all know that. The 3 megahertz transducer is most suited for the studying the large postpartum uterus or a large fetus. A 5 megahertz transducer is best suited for transrectal study for reproductive tract, and 7.5 megahertz transducer is performed for detailed study of small structures such as small follicle or a CL. The ultrasonography, in ultrasonography, there is a two color is there is a black and white. Suppose black color is there, it is known as anechoic image. This one is a hypoechoic image, and bright red is a hyperechoic image. Black and white, the screen is only observed when you are going to ultrasonography. So the black images indicate that the way it passes through and through, it means this is a fluid. So this is a fluid-filled cavity. It is known as a follicle. Follicle is always in anechoic image, and see this one is a regressing CL. This is a regressing. This is a hyperechoic image. Hypoechoic image is also there. See, this one is a dominant follicle, totally anechoic. And this one is a cross section of the uterus. Uterus having some content, there is a present in hypoechoic image. This is a typical diastous CL. This one is a CL. This one is a mid-cycle CL. Luteinization is there. Vacuolation is also there. This one is a vacuolated CL. It is not pathological. It is a normal CL is there. CL is hypoechoic image and follicle is in anechoic image. We can also identify the ovarian cyst. This is a large ovarian cyst, more than 2.5 centimeter in diameter. This is a vacuolated cyst, septa. This is a cyst, but there is a luteinization is start. See, this one is a luteinization. We can also diagnose a pregnancy. This is a conceptus. This is a fetal fluid. This is a twin pregnancy. 2 embryonic sac are there. 2 fetal fluid sac are there. This is a twin pregnancy. So by the using of ultrasonography, we are easily identify the various condition on the ovary. Now the management of the male fertility. So we all know that the male is also considered as a half of the herd, and very less attention is paid on male side fertility. In most of the cases, female is blamed responsible for reproductive failure, especially in our condition, in our scenario, when natural service is dominant over AI at a field level. So it is always recommended for artificial insemination to avoid the reproductive failure due to male infertility. We know that the semen straw produced at any semen station are prepared from tested and proven bulls with following the standard guidelines. However, the infertility issue might be faced even with AI in few cases due to human error, like a mishandling of semen, inexpertise of AI technician, improper timing of AI, inaccuracy in heat detection, and etc. So such error can be minimized through the critical control on semen handling by following the standard approaches of semen transport, timely refilling of cryocan with liquid nitrogen, semen thawing, and routine checkup of the post-thaw motility. So by this way, we can mitigate the fertility, we can improve the fertility in cattle. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lalit Modi, to give the nice presentations. Now the webinar is open for the discussions. So any questions, please write in chat box. So I will try to give the answer of these questions. Any doubt, any questions? So please write in chat box. And at the after completion of this webinar, I will provide this whole the PPT as a form of the PDF in various group. So one questions from Dr. Vishnu Dev. So could you please say about the PGF2 alpha dose? Can you show the slide regarding the PGF2 alpha? So this is the questions from the Dr. Vishnu Dev. Dr. Lalit Modi, sir?
Yes.
Please, from Dr. Vishnu Dev, so ask the questions. So could you please say about the PGF2 alpha dose? And how can you show the slides regarding the PGF2 alpha?
Yes. See, this is a slide of PGF2 alpha. The dosage of PGF2 alpha when we are giving using the natural PGF2 alpha, that is 25 milligram, and when we are using the synthetic analog, that is propranolol, there is a dosage is 0.5 milligram.
Okay. So one other question from the Surendra Raju. So which are the fodder containing the vitamin E and seleniums?
See, the nutrition is a very important part for the production as well as the reproduction. But we cannot say that this is a particular fodder which having a so and so. This is a particular fodder so and so, because selenium having some of the toxicity. So on the base of the ration, balanced ration, you advise to farmer to give so and so. So I think you know that there is a balanced ration program started by the various cooperative sector as well as the NDDB. And on the base of this, we can give the fodder to make a positive energy balance of the animal.
So one more questions from Dr. Modi Vandan. What about the infertility in the cattle, the cause due to the several disease like Campylobacteriosis?
So these all are the infectious disease, systemic infectious disease, that is Campylobacteriosis, brucellosis, trichomonasis, etc. But today we are talking about the way to improve the fertility. See, this is a totally clinical part, and it's require only management problem. If we are using a good semen quality, proven bull, good bull for the artificial insemination, for a natural service, then we definitely mitigate this Campylobacteriosis, brucellosis like diseases in field condition.
Okay, one more questions from Dr. S. Kanthraj. So can we completely negate the heat detections in FTAI program?
Yes. That's why it is known as fixed time artificial insemination. We can directly go for the insemination as per the protocol is given.
So one more questions from the Pooja Patidars. Which protocol is most commonly used for the Easter synchronizations?
So I already told the OVOSync protocol, JPG protocol, and you can palpate the CL and ensure that the CL is present on the ovarian and it is mature and give the response of PGF2 alpha. You can also use the PGF2 alpha for the synchronization of the estrus.
Okay, sir. So one more questions from Dr. Vishnudev RS. The 25 milligram naturals, the PGF2 alpha is a total dose for the 300 kg cow, sir?
Yes. This is a total dose. This is a total dose of PGF2 alpha.
Okay. So one question is from Dr. Kunal Mugats. The question is, in the case of the flattened ovary, is it beneficial for beneficial progesterone-based protocol over the Ovisins program?
So suppose there is a flatten of the ovary. So first one is you identify the BCS, body condition score of the animal. I already told that when we are using the synchronization protocol in animal, the animal must be good health and condition, normal reproductive tech. Animal going to negative energy balance. So when you are using any protocol you are using, there is no giving the any result. So first body condition of the animal, the nutrition of the animal is necessary to initiate the any synchronization program. In any stress condition, in both the ovary is smooth. In acyclic animal, the progesterone-based program is very good.
Okay, sir. Now, one more question. Anybody? So then one more question from Dr. Vishnudev. So in the case of the ovarian cyst conditions, can we use the Ovisins?
So this is a cystic condition of the ovary. You first identify the cyst, which cyst is present on the ovary, either follicular or luteal. If it is follicular cyst, then go for the HCG or a GnRH. If it is luteal cyst, then go for the PGF2 alpha. First treat the follicular cyst and give the one break, and then start the synchronization for the improve the conception. See, this protocol is not a treatment. This protocol is used to improve the conception of the animal.
So one question from Surendra Raju, sir, which fodders called as a estrogenic fodders, and what are the clinical effects?
So those fodder, I'm much more not. I am not much aware about the estrogen fodder, but I think there is a leucine having a more amount of estrogen. I think, and this estrogen is a very very much clinically effect on the ovary. It starts. It make a follicular cyst. It also make a nymphomanic animal, and also affect on the uterus by the infectious disease. It become the endometritis or pyometra. So like that.
Thank you, sir. So one question from Kunal Mugats, Dr. Kunal Mugats. So, sir, what is the resistance of the gonadotropin hormones? Can you explain about it?
No. There is no any resistance of the particular hormone. See, these all are the exogenous hormones. I already told, when we are using this all synchronization protocol, the condition of the animal is very good. You identify the condition, you follow all the managemental rule, and go for the synchronization protocol. When we are haphazardly use the particular hormone, definitely it lead to a bad effect on the animal body.
So one questions from Dr. Sai Srinivas. So what care should we take during the dry period to increase the next conception rate?
So very good question. So during the dry period, we are talking about the transition period or periparturient period. So start to giving the glucogenate diet. That is a those diet देंगे much of glucose, and the good. Sorry. Hello.
Hello, everybody here, voice, sir. Please continue.
Okay. So you give the proper feeding, in particularly the transition period. Proper balanced ration is given, proper calcium is given, proper mineral mixture and bypass fat is given during the particular transition period. Is 3 months before the parturition. It is useful to after the parturition of the animal. So the dry period is very essential to provide a good food material to improve the conception rate after the parturition. We can give jaggery at that time, 200 gram jaggery per day. before the parturition. It is very useful. It will give the glucose to the body and improve the consumption after the parturition. It is also used to retain detect the placenta earlier and prevent the milk fever.
So one more question from Dr. Vishnu. Very nice questions from the Vishnu Dev RS. So, sir, in the case of the metritis after PGF2 alpha treatment, so some persons try to Lugol's iodine the uterine washes. Can you please say about the Lugol's iodine uterine wash? Is that mandatory?
No. So Lugol's iodine, what happened in this? When we are go for the Lugol's iodine, the concentration of Lugol's iodine is very important. First one is that, and when the Lugol's iodine is started in film condition, the use is very unconscious way. So due to this, the uterine endometrium is lost their function and hardening of the uterus is there. So present day, there is a lots of treatment is available, lots of antibiotic is available to treat the infectious disease of the uterus. So go for this. Don't use the Lugol's iodine in metritis and endometritis. This is the adverse effect on the uterus as per my opinion and my experience.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So now no more questions regarding the seminar. So the nice presentations by Dr. Lalit Modi, and continue the series of webinars. So I will try to cover every Sunday for 1 week the new topics. So thank you, sir, Modi sir.
Okay.
Again, I thanks to all the participants and also thanks to Dr. Lalit Modi sir. Now end the session of this webinars. Thank you very much, all the participants.
Thank you, Dr.